SUVs have been the flavor for the Indian market for the last few years, and Renault has established itself as a brand that gives its customers the SUV experience, be it in terms of design, be it in terms of experience. If you look at the Quid, the Duster, and now what we have with us here is the Captur. Positioned as a crossover, the Renault Captur will go against stiff competition such as the Hyundai Creta and the Maruti Suzuki S-Cross. So does it have the ammunition to take them on and succeed? Let's find out. When you talk about the design, this has got to be one of the key reasons why you would go ahead and buy the Renault Captur. If you look at the front, you've got these sleek headlamps. Apart from that, you've got the bulges on the bonnet. Overall, a dynamic stance up ahead. If you move on towards the side, you've got these chunky diamond cut alloy wheels, 210 mm of ground clearance, which gives the Captur the much needed race stance that everyone wants from an SUV or a crossover these days. Moving back to the rear of the Captur, one can see a continuation of the same dynamic design that we see at the front and the rear. You've got these smart looking tail lamps, an LED unit. Apart from that, a lot of chrome. Of course, all of us and Indians love a lot of chrome. So overall, it's got a lot of appeal, and well, it's not an intimidating design, it's not a butch looking SUV, it's a smart looking crossover. And if you look at the success of the Hyundai Creta, it's clear that it's not just boxy SUVs that people want. If a crossover too looks good, if it's got the right curves, people will like it. Now, talking about the interiors of the Renault Captur, well, what you are greeted to is a welcoming interior. It's got a dual tone finish. You've got a touch screen here. Again, it's the same unit that you find in the existing Duster, so it does the job well. It's got satellite navigation, and it's got all the usual connectivity options you would require, be it Bluetooth, the USB, the aux in. So everything is there on that part. If you talk about the seat comfort, well, the seats again are comfortable. For someone like me, I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall, so for a person with my frame, yes, the seats are very well. The side support is good. For taller occupants, someone who has a larger frame, it might be a little bit of bother. Now let's talk about the build quality. The build quality here is top notch. Everything is fitted well. There are no visible panel gaps, so that's a good thing in the Captur. The plastic quality, however, is not what I would say the best in the segment, so it does leave some scope for improvement, but it's not bad either. The instrument cluster is again good. You've got all the necessary information here clearly visible. It's got a digital speedometer readout. And if you talk about cavity spaces, again the door pockets are good enough to hold your bottles. You've got a large cavity here. You can again place in 2 bottles, your mobile phone, your wallet, everything can easily be stored in here. You've got a 12-volt charging socket here. So in terms of interiors, everything is right where you want it to be. However, there's one thing which could have been better, and that's this center armrest. Now this is a fixed unit, so it does not lift, you cannot slide it back, it's where it is. There's nothing you can do about it. And if you're trying to engage or disengage the handbrake, this can be a bit of a bother. So now we're in the rear seat of the new Captur, and the Captur is in its segment. If you compare it to the Hyundai Creta or the Maruti Suzuki S-Cross, it is longer, it's wider, so you would expect more space. Now I've got the driver's seat adjusted to my height, 5 feet 8 inches for reference. Now you can see clearly there's a lot of space available for me. I can easily push my feet forward in the cavity below the seat. There's enough room here. Apart from that, if I talk about headroom, again, no problem whatsoever. The seats themselves are quite good. The under thigh support is also good. You've also got this center armrest here. You can also place in a couple of glasses here. If you talk about door cavities, again, you can easily place in a water bottle here. You've also got these rear air conditioning vents, so it helps cool the cabin a lot faster. Overall, if you look at the Captur from an interior perspective, well, the game is spot on. It's got everything that you need. It's got a good interior, it's got good features, it's got the right ergonomics, it's got good space, it looks well. The only thing that could have been better is the plastic quality. It's not bad either, but yes, there is scope for improvement. Now, apart from the design, one of the other main reasons why you should buy the Captur is the driving experience. It is a genuinely fun to drive vehicle. Now, this one is powered by the same engine that we see on the Duster. It's a 1.5 litre K9K DCI diesel engine. It develops a healthy 108 horsepower, and what's best is that the engine has very little lag. So once you're past about 1500 RPM, the engine gets into its element, and once you press the throttle, you get an instant response. Acceleration from a standstill is good. Now, while the Captur is fun to drive on the highway and on winding roads, what about traffic? Well, in traffic too, it is comfortable to drive. The gear ratios are well matched to the engine, so as a result, you don't have to really shift a lot when you're driving in traffic, and that's a convenient thing. The clutch, again, it's got a light operation, so on that part too, if you're stuck in traffic, couple a light clutch with a good gearbox, and it's a comfortable vehicle to drive. Now, while the engine is really nice and the gearbox too complements it well, the handling again is something very important for a crossover, and the Captur does not disappoint at all. Although the Captur has a ground clearance of 210 millimeters, it doesn't have the kind of body roll that you would expect a vehicle of such ground clearance to have. So around corners, if you're going in really hot, it still is able to maintain the intended line. And if you talk about ride quality, that is an area where the Captur really aces it. The suspension setup is spot on. It's not too soft, it's not too harsh. So what you get is really supple ride quality over smooth surface. Even when you're going over broken patches, speed breakers, bumps, even then the Captur is able to filter out most of them and keep the occupants comfortable. Now, the engine is mated to a 6-speed manual transmission. As of now, Renault is not offering an automatic option in the Captur. The Duster comes with an AMT, but Renault has made it clear that they're not going to offer an AMT on the Captur, considering its more premium positioning. However, the company is open to launching an automatic at a later stage if consumers demand for it. So what you might see at a later stage is a conventional torque converter automatic transmission. Now, we've been telling you a lot that the Renault Captur is a really good vehicle to drive. It's fun to drive, but when you talk about a vehicle that is fun to drive, it is also important to have good brakes, and that is again one area where the Captur impresses. It's got very good brakes. The response from the brakes is good. The initial bite is strong, and the brake pedal also has got good feel. So if you're someone who really enjoys driving, the Captur is a really involving vehicle to drive. Despite being a crossover, it is a fun to drive vehicle, and that is one of the strong points of the Captur that is going to differentiate it from the rest of the competition. So we're heading towards the end of driving the Captur today, and it's time for a verdict. If I have to give it an overall opinion, well, it is a well-rounded product. It's got an appealing design, it's got a very good engine, it's fun to drive, it's got good interior, it's spacious. It's really nice when you talk about ride quality and handling. So if you talk about the fundamental characteristics that make a successful vehicle, this has got all of it. But ultimately, the fate of this car will be decided by the pricing. Now, it's critical that Renault prices this very competitively, and if Renault manages to do that, there is no reason why this wouldn't sell. It's got everything that an Indian consumer wants in today's time and age. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and also subscribe to our channel. For anything else from the world of wheels, please log on to www.expressdrives.com. Till the next time we meet you again, drive safe and follow all traffic rules.